How I went from pet to threat at a toxic job, Black women in toxic jobs. This video is a response to that video. I previously did a video that was very well received about going from pet to threat. And there were a number of comments to that video that I said, I'm going to just do a separate video commenting on the comments and the comment exchanges between people in the comment section. Very fascinating. So, if you don't know me already, I'm Dr. Kamani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, a toxic job survivor, and more importantly, I'm a toxic job liberator for Black women. On my channel, I talk about ways to support Black women leaving and healing from toxic jobs. So, again, if you don't know about Pet to Threat, I'll just give you a brief overview of what Pet to Threat is because you may be experiencing that or you may have experienced it at a previous workplace. So Pet to Threat was created by three Black women researchers, Dr. Juanita Johnson-Bailey, Dr. Keisha Thomas, Dr. Rosemary Phelps. Pet to Threat deals with when a Black woman comes into the workplace and she is sought out for her outstanding abilities in the workplace. And so people are liking what she's doing. They're gassing her up. They're just, oh, you're just so great. You're the pet. Then the Black woman starts getting more attention than other people. And there's a shift in terms of how she is seen and treated as the threat. So in the previous video that I did, how I went from pet to threat at a toxic job, I talked about what my experience was going from pet to threat. And many people related to that video because it was very well received. So I wanted to break down and comment on a number of the comments I got to that video. So the first thing, people, overwhelmingly were saying, thank you for the video, that they had gone through that experiences already, but they didn't know really the word for it. And there's a lot of power in being able to name our experiences. So I appreciate people saying that they have had the same experience. And what was so sad about it, while I appreciate that I'm able to share information that validates our experiences, what's sad is that so many of us have had and continue to have these experiences. And a number of people said that they've had them at every job they've been to. Okay. So again, if this is happening to you, you might want to start thinking about exit planning and thinking about your options of getting out. If that is you and you're like, I'm tired of this pet to threat situation, because not all jobs have that situation. But when you're in a job situation where you have deeply insecure people, this may be happening to you. And if this is happening to you and you want to get out, then register for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women, May 18th and 19th. So I have a lot of information already on YouTube and other locations talking about the summit. But in the summit, you will come in learning about so many different things about how to prepare yourself to leave a toxic job, because I don't want you to just up and leave and you're not prepared to leave, or, not prepared to do well. Okay. So the Job Liberation Virtual Summit gives you information about how to, of so many different things, but particularly how to replace your income, because that's generally the biggest thing that keeps us at a toxic job. Okay. So again, to register, you click in the description section and you register. Just as easy as that. Your identity, no one will know you're in the summit, because on the platform, none of the participants will be seen and your name won't be listed. So don't let that keep you from registering. Okay, so let me go into the comments. So as I said before, overwhelmingly people talked about this happened to me so many times, right? So the first comment, the person said that I broke the first law of power of outshining the master. So when you are in situations, in work situations, it's challenging because you really, many times, are really dedicated to the work and you want to do a good job. And you're watching to see, like, you don't want to outshine people, you don't want to do all these other things. And you're also thinking about you want to do a good job. So it's trying to balance the deep insecurity of people with trying to do your job. So again, if that becomes exhausting to you and you're like, why am I tiptoeing around these insecure people who many times, because of their own insecurities and their own ego issues, they can't step aside and support you because you make them look bad in their eyes, right? Because they're deeply insecure. Okay. So again, so I broke the first law of power, outshining the master. Now keep in mind the terminology that was used, the master. So I've said this many, many times that a lot of times these toxic jobs are like plantations. And so they operate as such. The second comment related to at times in the workplace, and this is actually a red flag. At times in the workplace, people might have issues when you try to set boundaries. So, as I mentioned in that first video about how I went from pet to threat to toxic job, I talked about setting boundaries and the pushback and the push out that I experienced from that. So boundaries is important for us when people kind of cross the line, but it's a red flag when people have a hard time with boundaries or when you set boundaries. That's a red flag. So pay attention to that. Okay. Another comment was in relation to in the workplace, people questioning our credentials, our authority. I've talked about this in a number of my videos where in my position, I was the only clinical psychologist at that point in the whole school district. And I worked for the second largest school district in the nation. And the majority of people, particularly the workplace bully and I would say her minions, never acknowledged, that I had a doctorate or anything like that. The majority of people within that unit were social workers. I had a few psychiatrists, and I was the only clinical psychologist. But there was no recognition that I was a clinical psychologist in terms of acknowledging that. So again, that's another red flag. Okay, so boundaries, not recognizing your credentials, your authority. The other thing is that was brought up was the labeling, and you may be labeled like this too. This happened to me. So if you dare to set boundaries or you dare to shine your lights and do the job that you were hired to do, sometimes you might be labeled behind your back and it'll come back to you. You'll hear about it in some kind of way where people were talking about you behind your back. So you might be called angry. So the angry Black woman. And we know when we go into the workplace, we often do like mental gymnastics trying to figure out how to say things or do things because we don't want people perceiving that we're the angry Black woman. So but still, no matter what you're doing, they still might label you as angry, particularly if you're not doing what they want you to do. So they can kind of get over on you. Okay. So angry, they might be saying that you're not a team player. I heard that as well. So when I did not want to go along with the so-called trainer thing that they want to do for the training that I co-developed, when I expressed concerns about that, right? Then they said I wasn't a team player. So that might be you too. And I verbalized what my concerns were, but still, I was labeled as not a team player, even though I had been at that job for more than 10 years, clearly leading teams, doing all kind of teamwork. But in that situation, I wasn't a team player. Okay. You might be also labeled as difficult. So the workplace bully, again, she would rarely do things in front of my face. She would do things, cowardly things behind my back. And so one of the things that she would say about me was that I was difficult. So you may hear that as well. Um, Other comments about that video, all skin folk and kinfolk. So a number of people talked about situations encountering other Black people in the workplace who treated them cruelly. And, I'm so saddened by that. I've done videos about all skin folk and kinfolk. And when another Black person does this to you, particularly another Black woman, that can be extremely painful. And Anne Marie Archer actually did a really good video that I'll put in the description section about sometimes when Black women engage in this behavior, which we know is really a reflection of deep insecurity. It's a reflection of internalized oppression, and feeling the need to kind of play the game by putting other Black people down, which again is a sign of insecurity. Okay. So other people, as I mentioned before, talked about having this happen job after job after job after job. And I wanted to emphasize that because if that's happening to you, Some people might say, well, the common denominator is you because this keeps happening to you. And, I always say self assessment is very important. We all need to self assess, but don't let it stop there. Look at the environment, look at the key players that are involved. You have deeply insecure people at every job, probably, right? And when you think about racism and sexism are in at every job too, it's how it manifests. So please don't, after you do a self-assessment, if you determine, wait, that wasn't me, there's this dynamic of pet to threat, acknowledge for what it is and don't start internalizing that, because then you might start self-gaslighting yourself, okay? Another comment that came up was, if you are, or the situation I talked about, being brought in to fix other people's mess in the workplace. And once you come in and you handle the mess, then you're pushed out. So it's a version of pet to threat. And it's a version also of something I read about on LinkedIn about Glass Cliff, that Black women are often brought in into very difficult situations in the workplace to fix the situation. And it's almost an impossible situation. The Black woman is not provided with the support she needs. But if she does do a good job, then there's an attempt to kind of push her out. And they also talked in the comments, talked about love bombing. So that's a version of pet to threat. So, oh my God, you're so smart. Oh, we couldn't do this without you, that whole thing. So I know that happened to me, after 2020, when everything was going on in the world and we saw these racial traumas and all this stuff going on and this so-called time of racial reckoning, which we know how that turned out. So when that happened, I was brought in to, take the lead, even though, again, I'm not a team player, but I was brought in to take the lead on, these DEI types of, I would say, gestures, because they weren't really transformative DEI work. So brought in, and it was like all this love bombing. Whatever you want, we'll do whatever you want. We sought you out because we knew that you could help us. Okay, so the love bombing. So the love bombing, which this person commented, is true. It's a form of manipulation. So they are love bombing you in a way to get something from you, okay, to stroke your ego. Now, I kind of knew what was going on anyway, but just to be aware that might be a form of manipulation. Also, gaslighting, jealousy, and undermining. So again, they might seek you out because they know that you have the skills, the qualifications. They know that. They know that. And so you might come in and help them out of a mess. But again, if they're deeply insecure, even on the one hand, they need you to fix the problem or help them out, it highlights their own insecurities again. It shines a mirror to their own insecurities, and it makes them feel very jealous. So they start engaging in behaviors that undermine you in some way. Gossiping, like I said, labeling, calling you names, smear campaigns, character assassinations. That might be happening to you as it happened to me. Issues of power and control were brought up in the comments section. So this is a way for them to control you. So, they're saying, oh, we love you, switch, right? And then it's a way to control you and to put you in your place. And we know as Black women and as Black people, there are often some issues with people with like the uppity Black person. They may not say that, but it plays out a lot in the workplace in terms of trying to put you in your place because you clearly are not grateful for where you are and you need to be taken down a notch, right? So I wanted to also read some comments. So I wanted you to read, I want you to hear this exchange that I was like, very interesting just to see the exchanges in the comment section. So I want to read this one. Okay. This is from one of the viewers. My only question to Black women is why are so confused by this? I guess why are we so confused by this? I respectfully say this. Has the 400 plus years of white supremacy just flown out of the window? Have we forgotten, so comfortable with their trinkets and baubles that we have forgotten they truly are? There's some things left out, but you get the gist, right? So he's basically saying, why are we confused about pet to threat, kind of thing, right? Now, I don't know anywhere in my video where I talked about being confused. I was talking about the experience. I was breaking down what I went through. Okay. But this was this person's response. And then in response to him, this was the exchange. Trust me, there is no confusion here. What this woman is doing is an important step for us to evolve. Having to engage in these spaces has been necessary up to a point. Now we are able to create our own spaces. Sharing our experiences as well as our solutions is how we support each other. Pay attention to what this woman is talking about. She is so on point. So I responded back to that comment and I just told her thank you, right? Because sometimes when people read your comments or they watch your videos, they misinterpret what you're trying to say. Okay. So the first person misunderstood that I was saying we were confused. I think, or maybe he got confused himself because I was saying sometimes we don't have the language for it. Okay. But I don't think we're confused about what's happening per se, even if they're trying to gaslight us. We kind of peep like, okay, they're playing us. Okay. So this is another exchange I want to share with you. Okay. I'm trying to channel myself appropriately with this one. Okay. Okay. So this is the comment. Honey, I'm a white woman. This happens to me too. It can happen to anyone who outshines their boss. I hate how everything is about black or white, woman of color. I'm a white woman. I did not come from money by any means. Low middle class divorced family. You are light skinned yourself. So dark skinned woman will say you are light, so you have privileges they do not. I am so sick of this narrative as a white woman. Okay, just let that sit, right? Because when I read that, I was like, okay, again, this is a situation just like the previous comment. This channel, this conversation, what I'm talking about is for Black women. I do not understand why people who are not Black women feel the need to come in and give critical comments. This conversation is not for you. Okay. Just to be clear about that. Okay. Now, the response to this, okay. So there was a woman who responded back to that comment. She said, no one here has said that other groups do not have their own life challenges. However, the experiences of Black men and Black women are uniquely challenging. It will be nice if all people ignored racial differences, but that is not the reality. As a race, Black men and Black women are treated poorly worldwide. While many state multiple reasons for their hatred, those reasons are perpetual. Black men and Black women are judged based upon our skin color and ethnicity simply because we are more distinctly different from other races, ethnicities. And again, I gave her a high five. Thank you for coming in and saying that. Okay. So again, these videos are for Black women, and I just find it very interesting that in this space that I'm cultivating, this community that I'm cultivating for Black women, that other people feel the need to criticize and comment from their perspective. Okay, so I just want to share that with you all in terms of that exchange. Okay, but I love how Black women jumped in and they gave some really on point responses. Okay. So thank you, sisters, for doing that. Okay. Now, another comment to that video asked about suing. Why didn't I sue or why haven't other people sued or anything like that? Suing, taking legal action is extremely stressful. I'm going to have on other people, other Black women who have sought legal action. I'm going to have them on. I have consulted with attorneys. I haven't totally kind of said I'm not going to do that. But at the time that I was going through what I was going through at the job, was at the same time I was dealing with a bullying situation for one of my sons at a school. So I was suing that school. So that was emotionally draining. And I did not have the capacity at that moment to deal with that lawsuit and then filing another lawsuit against a toxic job. Okay. So again, still considering it, but that's what contributed to that. But I think that we need to have some compassion and understanding that filing a lawsuit is not easy. It takes a long time. It's extremely stressful. Okay. So again, I will have a Black woman on talking about that. Right now, she's still in the legal process, so she can't talk about it right now, but she wants to talk about it. She has talked to me about that. Okay. Now I want to end on this quote. Okay. And I really love this quote from the comment section, again, from how it went from pet to threat at a toxic job. Okay. So this quote, it becomes apparent that it often stems from jealousy. It's as if because you shine your light as God calls his children to do, it somehow makes them think you're a threat because their light is dim. Mic drop. Mic drop. Okay. So I invite you, if you are in a situation where it seems like pet to threat, listen to this video, watch this video, and identify what it is. So being able to name what your experience is the first step. Then start thinking about, okay, I see what's happening. And you could spend some time, just saying, okay, these are deeply insecure people. I would invite you not to spend too much time trying to figure out why this doesn't make sense, doesn't make logical sense. It's not going to make logical sense because you don't understand the depths of their insecurity. You can't understand that. So when you recognize this is happening to you, start thinking about your exit plan. Okay. So when I talk to you about exit planning, I want you to get prepared. I don't want you to just up and leave unless you're in immediate danger. Okay. So the Job Liberation Virtual Summit, I'm going to keep emphasizing this because this is an option for you to help you get prepared, help you get ready to leave a toxic job if you're experiencing pet to threat. Okay. So again, option for you, May 18th and 19th. As I mentioned before, no one will know you're there. You won't be on camera. Only the speakers will be on camera. Your name won't be listed. If you have a question or a comment, you could change your name on the platform, okay? And please don't tell any of your coworkers that you come to the summit, okay? Keep that information private. I'm going to do another video about that too, about coworkers, and be mindful of what you share with coworkers. So again, Job Liberation Virtual Summit, May 18th and 19th. We're going to talk about so many different things in relation to preparing yourself to leave a toxic job, dealing with your mindset. What are the barriers that you might have about leaving the toxic job? More than likely it's fears. Okay. So we're going to talk about that and ways to address that, ways that you may be impacted about burnout, what to do about that, how your mental health might be impacted by being in a toxic job, and how to connect to your creativity, your joy, your dreams. So we're kicking it off with Stephanie Perry, day one. And then day one ends with Alicia Renese. And then day two starts with Amory Archer, the anti-HR lady, talking about issues of discrimination and severance, as well as how do we get our sleep back? How do we replace our income? So Libria Jones is going to be talking about remote work, contract work, freelance work, all these different options that we have for replacing our income. We're going to have Patrice Lindo talking about creating a side hustle. And then Marissa and I are going to be talking about how to create your own business if that's something that you're interested in. And then we're going to end off day two with Dr. Roche Brown, who is a financial psychologist. Actually, I work with her to get my money right so I can leave a toxic job. So she's going to end off day two talking about creating your financial plan. And if you are really trying to make moves about leaving soon, like next 6 months to a year or so, then you might want to upgrade your ticket and have more time with Dr. Roche Brown that following Monday for an hour masterclass to talk a little bit more about getting your financial plan together. So you come into the summit feeling one way, you'll be leaving there with an exit plan. Now, it's up to you to determine when you want to execute the exit plan, okay? You don't tell anybody about that. It's based upon your own timeline, but at least you will have the resources, the information, so you won't feel like this is the only place where you can make money, because it's not. Okay. So again, I'm signing off. If you have gone from pet to threat, I know what that feels like. Again, I wanted to share some of the comments. Thank you to everyone for commenting. And just wanted to say to you also, please give this video a thumbs up. Please share this video with at least 2 other Black women. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so and register for the summit. Again, Job Liberation Virtual Summit, May 18th and 19th. Registration information is in the description section. Okay, see you later. Bye.